What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 12, Episode 14. So, Crystal and Sutton are having a conversation, and Crystal wants to know, I guess, what happened at the wine tasting. And Sutton tells her, among other things, that Crystal's eating disorder came up as a topic of conversation at the wine tasting. And she tells Crystal that the women were talking about your eating disorder and it wasn't coming from a place of concern. And I was thinking to myself, what is Sutton talking about? Because I didn't see anything negative or critical of how the women were talking about Crystal's eating disorder. In fact, I thought it was coming from a place of concern because they were trying to understand why Crystal was not seeking the help that she needed, especially since it appears that her eating disorder has gotten worse. So I don't know why Sutton is trying to paint this negative picture of these women unless she wants Crystal to unleash again on these women and, once again have this moment of where she complains about she's not being heard, no one's paying attention to her, no one's taking her feelings into consideration. Why are people talking behind her back about something important and so private? I don't know what Sutton is trying to set up, but it was like she was trying to set something up, maybe to kind of get the heat off of herself, because wow, so far this season, Sutton has definitely been in the hot seat. So, after that, did it talk about anything else that was interesting? Oh, let's move on. So after that, we're at Diana's house, and Diana's coming down the stairs, and Asher is at the piano, and he is playing the piano and he's singing. And I'm watching this scene, and I'm trying so hard to see the husband wife dynamic between Diana and Asher, and I don't see it. I it seems the way she was standing there watching him play the piano, it really was like a mother watching her child play the piano. I just don't see it. And then they went outside to go have a conversation about, I guess they're going to do another IVF cycle, and they're both on board with having more children, and they're both excited and looking forward to that. Now, even as they're talking about expanding their family and having another baby, to me it's like they're not connecting. It's like they're not meshing well, or there's nothing there that, like, if I didn't know who these people were and I happened to see them having this conversation, I wouldn't think to myself, oh, okay, there's a couple, having a snack and conversating. I wouldn't think that. I would be like, oh, okay, so there's a mom and her child, or an aunt and her nephew having a conversation. There's nothing about them that comes across as a romantic couple. And it's not even necessarily because of their age. Now, the reason why I say mother and child is because what other dynamic would it be other than, two buddies talking? So I just don't see any type of love connection between them. And even when they were talking about something like having a baby, I didn't see it like a love connection. I didn't see any kind of intimacy between them. It's just bizarre. And I don't have anything against May December relationships, because I've seen plenty of May December relationships where the woman was older, but it was like there was chemistry between her and her younger guy. It was hot and heavy. It was romantic. This right here, I'm not buying it, and I don't see it at all. I just don't see it. Moving on from there, Kyle. Erica comes over to Kyle's house. Oh, Erica comes over to Kyle's house because Kyle has invited a stretching coach to stretch them out. And I've never heard of such a thing. This must be like a Beverly Hills kind of thing, or an uber wealthy kind of thing, because you're paying someone to come and stretch you out. Okay, I guess. So while this guy is stretching out Erica, Kyle is looking on, and she's like, "Oh my God, that looks like it's so painful." And Erica says, "Well, I think I have a love affair with pain." And that once again, to me, reiterates that Erica needs to seriously consider going into dominatrix, because she likes the feeling of pain, and she probably enjoys inflicting pain on others even more. They talk about Garcelle, and how Garcelle is concerned about Erica's drinking, and Erica tells Kyle, well, I don't know what Garcelle is, but I don't think her concern about my drinking is coming from a good place. So it makes me sad for whatever reason. I don't know why, but it makes me sad that Erica and Garcelle are not friends because I see some similarities between them. There's something about Erica and Garcelle that makes me think that they would be good friends because they're very bold, they're very upfront. They say exactly what's on their mind. They don't mince words. They don't have a problem calling somebody out. They're not trying to like sugarcoat things or beat around the bush. They're very direct. And I feel like they could get along so well if it wasn't for this whole Sutton issue. The fact that Garcelle, who, by the way, I'm reading her book, and so far it is really, really good. I'm about halfway through. I am loving Garcelle's book. I love how this book is written. I like how it flows. Her life is interesting. Very good so far. But for this damn Sutton that's in between them, I think they would have been really, really good friends. But I digress. So Dorit is hosting a party that is going to be honoring a dentist who has a charity called Homeless Not Toothless. And I guess it's a charity organization where this dentist and his group, they help fix the teeth of the homeless. So this event is to honor him and, of course, to raise money for the charity. It's a black and gold event. And so everybody shows up. I'm trying to see if there's anything worth talking about before the dinner. And I don't think there's anything that was that interesting. There was this one guy there. I have no idea who he was. If I don't know if he was a dentist or what, but he was talking to somebody and he was telling them that through the DNA database of 23andMe, excuse me, he's discovered that he has 6 children out there because he was a donor. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. That guy needs a show because I'm very interested in that. Like, have these children tried to contact him? How many more are out there? How does he feel about that what you thought you were just giving a sample to help somebody have a baby, and now there's these humans out there who are probably looking for you because you're their father? Like, I'm very interested in that. Mauricio and PK. So Mauricio and PK, they're talking together and they're looking at the women who have gathered together across the room. And PK asks Mauricio, I guess, who he finds either most attractive or who's best dressed or something other than their wives. PK says Erica and Mauricio says Rena. So when PK said Erica, reminded me of that time when they were I don't know, this was like 2 or 3 years ago when Erica was sitting and she wasn't wearing any underwear, and PK was able to get a sneak peek of what was going on under her dress. And I think PK has like a crush on Erica. I think he has like a little crush on Miss Erica Jane. Moving on from there. So now it's time for dinner. The way the dinner was set up, it was set up like I don't know what you call that, like a rectangle. And so the women were actually sitting like across from each other. And so let's start with Erica. So she is limited. She says herself that she's limited to having one drink, only one cocktail because she's on medication. Dorit makes a speech about what the charity is about. She talks about the dentist that they're honoring that night. And she said the charity's name, Homeless Not Toothless. And Kathy Hilton, she goes, what is it called? And Dorit repeated, it's called Homeless Not Toothless. And Kathy's like, oh, that's great. Kathy is, look, Kathy, I cannot get enough of her. I don't know what is wrong with Kathy. I don't know if Kathy is medicated. I don't know if Kathy is just getting older. I don't know if this is how Kathy has been her whole entire life. Whatever this is, it's funny. So after that, they're all sitting down having dinner. They're all eating. And here comes Kyle. She starts off by telling Sutton and Garcelle that she had heard that at the winery, Rena had kicked Sutton out of her home. And she said that she had heard that Rena had told Sutton to get the F out of my home. But when Kyle asked Rena about it, Rena denied saying, get the F out of my home. Rena said that she only told her to please leave. So she asked Sutton and Garcelle, did she tell Sutton to get the F out of her home? Sutton and Garcelle said yes, that's exactly what she said. Then Kyle goes to Dorit and she asked Dorit, Did Rinna say, get the F out of my home to Sutton, or did she say, can you please leave? And Dorit says she said, get the F out of my home. So then Kyle goes and not goes, but then she asks Rinna, who is sitting the furthest away from her. So Kyle has to get loud. So she's asking Rinna, did you tell Sutton to get the F out of your home, or did you just ask her to please leave? And Rinna said, I never told her to get the F out of my home. I never used the F word. So then when they play it back, true enough, Rinna did not tell Sutton to get the F out of her home. But before she told Sutton to please leave, she told Sutton, F you. So she did use the F word, but people are remembering things out of context. They are displacing where she dropped the F bomb. So now Rinna and Sutton are getting into it. Okay. So Sutton had already told Kyle, when Kyle asked her at first, Sutton had already told Kyle, I don't even want to talk about this at the dinner table. But Kyle kept going. She kept going. So now Rinna and Sutton are going at it, right? Now, Rinna is absolutely, now she's like hyped up now. So they're going back and forth, and Rinna is screaming across, the dinner table, and she's telling Sutton that all of this can be put to rest if you just apologize to my husband, Harry Hamlin. And Sutton told her, I already did apologize to him. I sent him a very heartfelt text. Rinna says, no, you didn't. So then they show Sutton her confessional reading the text that she had supposedly sent to Harry Hamlin, apologizing for what she said on Watch What Happens Live about the whole Elton John thing. So, okay, because she was reading this text, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm not saying that she did or didn't send this text, but just playing devil's advocate. Just because she read it doesn't mean that it was sent to Harry Hamlin. She could have, but that's not proof enough that it was sent. So Sutton said that she had sent him a text. Rinna says, no, you didn't. Now Rinna and Sutton, they're going back and forth. And it was really embarrassing. I was feeling like secondhand embarrassment for both of them because Rinna really was screaming the most. And Sutton was just trying to fall into the floor. Like she wants the floor to open up and just swallow her. She was so embarrassed. Rinna is the one that's really doing all the yelling. And you can tell everybody around them is extremely uncomfortable with this exchange. And I'm assuming that Rinna's going through a lot, and we find out at the end exactly what's really going on with Rinna. But at this point, I'm thinking, does she have too much to drink, or is she really this upset about this? And so they're going back and forth. Then what was so crazy to me was, another thing that Rinna said, she said that she is not going to let this go until Sutton admits why she said what she said on Watch What Happens Live. Because, Rinna thinks this whole thing is like a setup against her and her husband. So Kyle then is trying to get Rinna to calm down. Kyle, what are you doing? What are you doing, Kyle? You're trying to get Rinna to calm down after you're the one that got her riled up because you brought up this topic at this charity event, this really irrelevant topic at this very important event. The women are going at it now. You got what you wanted. Okay. You got exactly what you wanted because Kyle loves it when the women are in conflict with one another because she just wants to sit back and look because it's got nothing to do with her. She doesn't have to talk about herself. She can keep her own life under lock and key like she normally does, but she wants everyone else to act a fool but her. So she ignites the match, watches this fire go completely out of control, is actually sitting there enjoying the flames. But then after a while, when it gets too much, she's trying to contain it. It's too late, Kyle. You can't contain it now. You started this. Now just let it play out. It just makes me so upset that when someone is a catalyst of other people arguing, they start the argument between other people and then they want to come in and try to, calm everything down. But you started it. If you wanted them to be calm, you should have just kept your mouth shut. This is not the time and place to talk about whether or not Rinna used the F-bomb on Sutton at the winery. This is not the place for that, Kyle. We're here to honor this guy for doing a great thing for the homeless. This is not the place for your stupid housewife shenanigans. So now it's time for the show to start. So the surprise guest is Melissa Etheridge. And so she comes down the stairs and she gives them a personal concert. And she sings like her very well known, one of her most famous songs, Come to My Window, which to me, that song means a lot because the first time I'd even heard of Melissa Etheridge, I was in high school. It was my birthday. My mom took me out to eat at one of my favorite seafood places. And so we're sitting there eating, enjoying dinner. And this song starts playing in the restaurant on their, radio loudspeaker thing. And I didn't know who Melissa Etheridge was, but I loved the song when I heard it. And I ended up looking for it. I found it. I fell in love with the song. I love the video. I really love this song, Come to My Window by Melissa Etheridge. So when she started singing it, I don't think anybody in that room was as excited as I was because I was singing along. It was a great moment. It was a great surprise. I enjoyed this little concert from Melissa Etheridge. So everybody's enjoying it. Here comes Kathy Hilton. When Melissa Etheridge first came down the stairs, Kathy Hilton was like, "Who the hell is that?" It was so, I love some Kathy Hilton, but I heard that she's problematic. Did she say something racist? I'm not sure, but she's funny as hell. So after all of that, Sutton approaches Rena and she wants to have a conversation. She basically wants to apologize. Sutton is another one. She'll say something problematic. She'll do something that she knows it's not going to be accepted very well. And then she wants to come back and apologize when she pisses everybody off. So she goes to Rena to talk to Rena. And Rena tells her like the real deal, Holyfield, and says, "Look, my anger really has nothing to do with you. I'm struggling right now. I'm not in a good place. I'm struggling over because her all the stuff that was at her mother's house, a lot of childhood stuff, pictures, all these things from the past that were at her mother's house was delivered to her house. And so I guess when she went through it, it kind of just, it did something. Obviously it did something to her because her mother passed away. So we haven't seen Rena cry for her mom on the show. Obviously, I'm pretty sure she's crying in private, crying behind the scenes when the cameras aren't there. But as far as on the show so far, we had not seen Rena cry until this particular moment. And so she just let it go as she needed to. And she was saying that I'm just trying to figure out how to go on with my life without my mother. And when she said that, I got emotional. I was like crying, and it was just really emotional to watch and really, really sad to watch because it's like, it's hitting her. I think in the beginning, when she first came back after the mother's funeral, I think Rena was still in shock. It's like, it's not real that your mother's gone for good. It's not your reality. That's not what's happening. But then I think during moments when you expect your mother to be there and she's not, like when you want to call her and tell her something and she's not there, you're like, oh, I'm going to go out to eat with my mom. She's not there. Oh, let me call my mom up so we can go for a walk. She's not there. So I think in those moments, that's when it kind of hits home that your mom is really gone. She's gone. This is permanent. This is your new life without her. All the things that y'all used to do can never be done again. It was terrible. And it impressed me that Rena was big enough, even during her moment of darkness, she was still big enough to apologize to Sutton for how she treated her. And she told her, my anger really had nothing to do with you, and I'm sorry. I'm just going through a really bad time right now with the loss of my mother. And so that broke my heart. That was so extremely sad. I don't even know what to say. So I'm gonna just end it right here. Man, my condolences to Rena, her family. That was real. To me, I felt like that was a real moment. And I don't think I've ever seen anything that real on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It's just really sad. It is so sad. Thank you so much for joining me in this review. If you made it this far, I really do appreciate it. If you like this content, subscribe. If you don't worry about it. Thank you for stopping by anyway. On your way out, don't forget to rate the video, and I'll definitely talk to you later.